Hello bass family and welcome to Everything Bass. So I wanted to dedicate a video to talk about your auditions and how to maybe nail your next audition. Well, not maybe. If you can follow these 10 steps, you will definitely nail your next audition. I want to be clear. That might not mean you get the audition, but you can walk away going, I nailed it. I feel great. I just killed on that. Sometimes they're gonna pick some other player because that player fit a visual style they were going for. Maybe something other than your performance style was maybe the tipping point between you and another player. But I don't mind the auditions I didn't get when I know I nailed it. I just crushed it. I played the best I could. If I played the best I could, I represented myself well, and I didn't get the audition, I'm okay with that. Now, if I go ill-prepared and I just step all over myself and I'm nervous and I violate a lot of these 10 suggestions I'm going to give you, then yeah, I go away pretty mad at myself, and I try to make sure it doesn't happen again. So over the years, 30 plus years of auditioning, I have come up with 10 things. There's a checklist that if you work on, I promise you, you will nail your next audition. It's a guarantee. Not a guarantee you'll get it, but it is a guarantee you'll nail it. So let's get right to it. Number one, go above and beyond. This was taught to me at a clinic. I went for the drummer, Russ McKinnon was the drummer for Tower Power for several albums. He did a clinic at the school I was teaching at, Musicians Institute, and in it he said that when he auditioned for Tower Power, they gave him, I believe, 3 songs to learn, but he went through and learned like every song he could. He just tried to like learn their entire catalog, which is impressive because at that point there was still like 100 songs. But he learned as many as he could, knowing that when he went in, chances are they had already auditioned a bunch of players on those same 3 songs. So by just having variety, he might stand out. It might show that he's also, got a lot of their set down, which is important. When a band is looking for a musician, in this case a bass player, one of the considerations is they just want to get back up and running as fast as possible. If you come in and you know already more than what they've required, and you know a big chunk of their set list, yeah, they're going to be like, ooh, this guy's got a plus. So, auditions are not, there's not one form, like they don't always do this, but a lot of times you'll, depending on the band, if it's an original band, they might send you some tracks, email you some tracks, and say, here's, songs we want you to learn. I think it's totally okay to email them back and say, hey, I've already learned these 3, or there's some more you'd like me to learn. Even if they say, no, just stick with those 3, at least they know your intent, that you're serious, you're willing to put in the work. If it's an original band and they've got material out, then just on your own, download it or buy it, whatever it takes. It's an investment, and just dig in, learn it. And that's really great because, again, you're showing them a couple things. You're showing them that you've already, learned a lot of their set list, so that makes their job easier, and they're going to look forward to that. Second, the process of auditioning. I've auditioned many singers and musicians over the years, and you do get burnt out on the 3 same songs. So when you can kind of go, hey, I learned these 3 songs, but I know a bunch of others too. How about we play this or something? Would you guys like to play something else? Try not to be too bossy. That's one thing I learned early on. Don't say, hey, I learned those 3 songs, but let's play this one. No, that's the wrong approach. You can say, hey, let's say you learned everything on their first album. You can say, hey, I know these 3 songs, but I know everything on the first album. Do you guys want to play anything else? It's good. Now, if they say no, let's do this, there's probably a reason for it. Play those 3 songs. What I don't want you to do is not learn the stuff they tell you to learn and learn other stuff because you think you're doing. No, they may, for a reason, want you to learn it because then they can compare one player to the other playing the exact same thing. But I'm just saying, going above and beyond. It can't hurt you. It can't hurt you. So I'm stressing again, learn whatever they tell you to learn. Learn the required material, definitely, inside and out, but then go above and beyond. Even if you have to sacrifice a little bit of sleep, go extra, learn more. It cannot hurt you. Okay, number 2, practice the songs every way possible. Now, I've got some notes here you're going to see me looking at because I want to make sure I don't miss anything, but this, I just kind of learned this on my own. I have a style of learning which I call sequential. Like if I learn the intro of a song, that kind of informs me and kind of reminds me what the verse is. And that verse reminds me what the chorus is. And because I learned it in that way, that was how I was memorizing it. But in early auditions, we'd play through a song and maybe something would go, they go, oh, hey, can we pick it up from the bridge again? And I wouldn't remember what the bridge was because I sequentially learned it. I learned, after the second chorus. So I encourage you, if you're learning material like songs, like learn it from start to finish, start to finish, start to finish, and then play it without the track. That's the second step. I think I even wrote that as, so first practice with the recordings, and I'll put this on the Patreon. If you're a Patreon member, you'll be able to download this. It's a whole sheet of notes. Second, practice without the recordings. Sometimes we rely too much on like the vocalist saying something that reminds us to play. You can't do that because I've done several auditions where I learned the material with vocals, but when I auditioned, there were no vocals. They just wanted the band to play. And so it was good for me to practice without. So practice the songs without the play along track. Just practice. That'll strengthen your memory of it. Then number 3, start from different points. Think about anything, like start from the second chorus and then play from that out. Then go back and say, and don't do it with the recording, and then say, okay, practice from the guitar solo. Anything like that is going to strengthen your ability to kind of pick it up here and there. I still do this, by the way, with songs I'm not auditioning, just songs that I'm performing on stage. I'll practice them from different points, but it just strengthens my memory of it. And then lastly, on this particular section, mimic tones and techniques as closely as possible. When you're replacing a musician in a band, it can be helpful because I think a lot of bands are worried like, is this guy going to change our sound? Unless they tell you that's what they want, and I've had that situation. You're auditioning and they'll say, we want to kind of go in a different direction. We want to get your take on this. That's cool. But it's also very cool to, like, if a guy plays with a pick on a track, I would, even if you barely play with the pick, I would work it up with the pick because they might require it. You never know. The singer might have brought that song to the band saying, bass player, I need a pick on this. So you want to make sure the techniques and tones. Tones I really pay attention to. Knowing that they probably, if it was a studio recording I'm learning from, they really probably labored over the bass tone. So I might try to mimic it. I want to psychologically make them feel comfortable. And so if I can sound like the previous bass player as much as someone can, I think it gets them a positive response. I've later heard back from auditions I did get where people said, man, it was just amazing. You came in and you just made us sound like we sound. You captured our sound. I think that's key in actually nailing the audition. Now, what's the other benefit? It makes you a better player. When you can do that, when you can exercise that muscle of mimicking and kind of learning from these things, it really makes you a better player. So I encourage you to do that. Even if you're not auditioning, you're just learning a song. Let's say there's a Red Hot Chili Peppers tune you're stoked to learn. Don't just learn the notes. Try to get his feel. Try to get his tone. Is he on just the bridge pickup? Is he using both pickups? Has he got a chorus on? Whatever it might be, try to see if you can mimic it. It's a great exercise, and I really think it broadens your musicianship. Okay, number 3. Research the band or musician's history. So this is important. And I think it's overlooked. I felt it more when I was in a band auditioning somebody, that someone came in and didn't know anything about us. It made us think like, well, gee. And I was always thinking, well, should that matter? But it seemed to always matter. So if you're auditioning for a known band, maybe it's a band in your area that plays a lot of gigs, try to find out like what clubs they played. Do a little search online with the band name. See if there's any articles written up. Anything you can do. Check their social networks out. It's so easy now. It was hard back in the 80s, but it's easy now. Go to the band's website, go to the social networks, just scroll through, see if they've played any notable gigs. Maybe they played in front of a sports team's big game or something. But with a casually in conversation mention that, hey, I was on your site and I saw that video. That was amazing. What was it like playing in front of that many people? I remember I was in a band and we'd won an award, a recognition, I should say, not an award. And we were auditioning, and it was so cool when the singer came in and says, hey man, I noticed you guys got voted, such band, and I was like, oh cool. It kind of just endears you to them. I think we all kind of are proud of our bands, and we love it when people notice something we've done. So yeah, man. So do a little research. How long's the band been together? What are some of the big notable moments in the milestones in the band's history? If you can, it's so easy now. Do that research. Just so it's ready. You might not even get an opportunity. I've had auditions where they don't want me to talk at all. It's just like a meat processing plant. You come in, play, thank you, goodbye, come in. Okay, that was their style. But if you can conversationally chat with a guy and mention something like that, it's good. It endears them to you, or you to them. And I think very helpful. Okay, number 4, so important. Make sure your gear is perfect. There's so many reasons why this is a no-brainer. You don't want to go in and have your bass buzzing, electrically buzzing. So make sure that your bass is shielded. Try your bass, and sometimes you'll audition with a bass rig. Sometimes you'll come in and use the house rig. But plug your rig in like next to some neon lights. Plug your rig in and run a blender on the same circuit and see, is any interference coming in? Take your hands away from the bass. Is it buzzing? All these things, if you can eliminate that stuff, will really help, because no one wants to hire someone if there's going to be a problem. And I know what I've done when I've auditioned musicians and their gear sounds bad, and I'm thinking, man, do they not hear it? Do we want to hire a guy who doesn't hear that their own gear is bad? So it's very important. Now there's another reason why you want to make sure of this. Change all the batteries. If you have active preamps, if you are bringing a pedal and it has a battery or whatever, extra batteries, bring extra strings just in case. Hey man, string manufacturers aren't perfect. Sometimes there's a little defect, or maybe you dinged it when you put it on, didn't realize it, and you start playing in this audition, a string breaks. Being able to tell the guys, just give me 2 minutes, I have extra strings. That tells them that you're a prepared player, that you're a professional player. Hopefully it won't come to that. Now, another reason why you want your gear to be perfect is you want to not have to think about it. When you're going to audition, you're already thinking about trying to remember the material, representing yourself well, feel relaxed, all those things. But if you hear a little buzz every time you take your finger off the strings, that takes you out of that headspace. You're taking your attention away from where it needs to be and thinking about something else. So it'll give you confidence when you can plug in and go, all right, okay, I sound good, I'm ready to go. So take that moment, really go through, check every cable. We do the shake test. I think I even put on here. Shake test for all your cables. The cable you're going to bring in, maybe just bringing a bass, they provide everything else, but you bring your own cable, plug it in. While you're playing a note, shake it around. Make sure that as you're moving, it's not going to cut in and out. These are all things you can easily avoid, okay? So that's easy, number 4. Number 5, bring backups for strings, cables, and etc. I already kind of mentioned that in 4 because I forgot about it. And so I stole the thunder, but yeah, man. And I do this for gigs, for recording sessions, everything. If any of my gear requires a battery of any kind, I have backups, usually 2 backups. For sight reading, I have an iPad that has scrolling software, but it's controlled by a Bluetooth pedal, uses a specific battery. I make sure I have duplicates of those. I have backups for every cable I use, including patch cables. So if I'm using my pedal board and we realize, patch cable is bad, I have a brand new one, pop it in. This is important. It gives, like as you're auditioning, you might come up, they see maybe you got your gig bag in a little bag, and you say, I always bring backups to everything I have. Man, if I was auditioning that cat, I'd be like, that's brilliant. This is the guy we want. We don't want the guy to show up and he breaks a string and goes, oops, I broke up my string. No, you got to be prepared. Act professional, and it will come back in good ways for you. Okay, number 6 is important, especially when you live in a big city, but it's recon the site. What that means is, let's say you get the audition, they say, hey, we're auditioning tomorrow, it's going to be here, and they give you an address. The night before, preferably during the same time, let's say your audition time is 7 at night, and normally you look on the Google Maps, it says it's a 30-minute drive. Test it the night before at 7, so you can kind of get a feel for the conditions. Drive it. You don't want to be like stressed because you got lost or your navigation app didn't work right. That's stress. Then you show up to the audition and you're kind of like, I'm frazzled. No, you don't want that. Recon the site. The day before, go. I did this always in Los Angeles. When I lived in Los Angeles, the map, and back then we didn't have navigation, but you'd look on a map and you kind of estimate, okay, that's probably about 15 minutes. But the traffic can be horrible at given times of day. So I would always recon, and sure enough, many times. Or, here's the other thing. I'd go and then realize they closed the street I was going to go use to get there because of construction, so they had a detour. Man, you need to know these things. So recon the site. The day before, drive to it. Don't be a freak, but sit outside and go, I'm auditioning tomorrow. No, just drive to it, kind of get to the area, realize, okay, that's the address, great, and then go home. It's a great investment, and it'll keep you from being frazzled. I did this of some of the, well, I did this for pretty much every audition in Los Angeles, and it always helped me. I mean, there were a lot of times it really pulled my hiney out of the fire, where if I'd realized, if I hadn't reconned the site, I would have been late, and that's a bad first impression. All right, now that leads to number 7. Show up early, go in on time. Now what this is it's so important to be on time, but there's factors outside of your control. Missing a turnoff, and then maybe you timed it like, 15 minutes, I'll give myself 20 minutes, but you miss a turnoff and that adds 10 minutes, and now you're late to your audition. Guys, give them the right impression from the get-go. The very first thing you can do to impress them is be on time. So get there early, and sit in your car, whatever. Don't go in early. That's bad. That's extreme bad. It annoyed me when I'd be auditioning, and I'd be halfway through auditioning somebody, and then the next guy walked in, and you're like, oh, hey, can you wait outside? And then you've taken it away from the focus away from this guy. It's just bad. Don't go in early. Show up early, go in on time. Of course, don't be late. That's a no-brainer. Duh. I mean, it just freaks me out when I hear of guys saying, oh, I went to this audition, it didn't go well. What happened? Well, first I was late. Why? Why were you late? You can avoid that. That's the easiest thing in the world to avoid. Just pad your time. Pad your time. Go early, show up on time. Guys, that's the first thing. First impression, they always say first impression is the best impression. Being on time. And again, don't go in early. Don't go in early. All right, that's number 7. Number 8, relax and enjoy the audition. I gotta tell you guys, this is probably the most obvious thing when it's not done. And again, I've always been pretty comfortable auditioning, and I've been fortunate enough to audition for some of my heroes. And I just realized, early on, man, whether I get the audition or not, I'm gonna enjoy this. I auditioned for Steve Vai. Spoiler, I didn't get the audition. I had a great time. We ended up playing for 30 minutes, which was longer than the previous auditions before me. So I was like, wow, we jammed for a while. And I tell those stories a lot because I loved that 30 minutes of playing with Steve Vai. I enjoyed the heck out of it. And actually, I got a call back, so that was good. Now, when I'm auditioning, guys, it always freaks me out when the musician or singer comes in and they are stressed and they don't look like they're enjoying it at all. They're not in it. They're just like, it's like we're forcing them at gunpoint to audition for our band. It seems like, and I know you might be thinking, well, I don't want to seem arrogant. No, confidence and arrogance, different things. Every band wants every musician to be confident. No one really wants you to be arrogant. But being confident, relax. And you might be asking, how do I appear confident? Just relaxed. Be relaxed, like you've been there before. My first audition, big audition, was with Cher in Los Angeles, and I love it. And I want to say it was Tim Bogert, one of the teachers at BIT, who knew I was going for it. It might have been Lacefield, I can't remember. But one of the teachers, as I was heading out to go to the audition, said, act like you've been there before. And that just resonated. It's like it echoed in my brain. All the drive to the audition was, act like you've been there before. So I came in, I was relaxed, I was conversational, joked with some of the guys as I'm getting set up, just kind of chit-chatted, played my parts. It went really well. I feel like I nailed the audition. There's a long story why that didn't work out in the long run, but I actually did get called back, and everything was yay, until it suddenly was not, and you just have to deal with that. But I nailed it because I was relaxed. So just under these notes, the band is auditioning more than you're playing. They want to see how you are going to be night after night on stage, for the long recording studio sessions, for the long rehearsals, the 8 hours of rehearsals to get ready for a big tour. They want to know. And when you come in and you're chill and you're relaxed, you're easygoing, I know that when I've auditioned, I've sat and gone, man, this is a guy or girl I can hang with. This is a singer that knows the business and is chill, and I'm ready to go to war. So yeah, man, mimic that. Be confident. There's been auditions where on the inside I've been a turmoil of butterflies, but on the outside, probably I think most people thought, oh man, Dale's chill, he's ready to go. And that's what you want to do. Number 9, bring extra business cards. I know that a lot of young musicians I talk to, they're like, oh, business cards are a thing of the past, and that might be, but you don't, what's worse is to have someone ask for your contact information, and then you're like, well, can I plug it into your phone? Can I text it to you? And those are okay options, but why not? For very little, I think you can get like 100 professional business cards for under 20 bucks now. Now, why that's important at higher levels too, well, really any level, but when you're auditioning for maybe a more professional act, a lot of times you're sending your materials to someone other than the bandmates. You're sending your materials to like the manager, and the manager then says, okay, yeah, this guy's good, we're gonna audition him, and he tells the band, hey, I got a bunch of guys. The band never got that information. So I always keep cards in my wallet and in my gig bag. And that's why many of the really nice gig bags have little card pockets too. They know the importance of it. Now, let me give you a scenario that's happened to me over and over again, and it benefited me. You're going to bond with musicians in the band. Now, even if the band later says, oh, okay, or maybe 3 of the band guys said, nah, we want to go with this guy. But one of the band persons was like, I don't know, I really liked him. That guy's going to go do other musical things. So many times after an audition, I've had a musician come up and say, hey, can I get your contact information? Now, in the early days, that was always a card. Now I carry cards, but I'm also prepared. I can just share my contacts, which has all my stuff that I want to give out, my professional contact. So, in recent times, playing with a musician, they said, man, I'd love to be able to get together with you outside of this. I'm like, great, do you want me to text you my contact info, or do you want a card? And just leave it up to them. Again, that shows professionalism, preparedness. It's so important. As I said, man, a lot of times the band never got your stuff, and the band's excited, and they don't want to lose this connection, so they're like, hey, can we get your contact information? Bam, bam, bam. You come across prepared, you come across like you've been there before. So I think it's important. And lastly, and this might seem like, again, a no-brainer, but I've seen guys not do it, and it always leaves a little sour taste, is end the audition with a thank you. This is so important. Thank the band and the management, whoever's there, thank them that they gave you the chance. It's a little courtesy, but boy, when it's missing, it's glaring. Now, there's been times, this is a little different scenario, there's been times I've been a hired gun in a band. So it wasn't my band. I was just getting a paycheck like every other hired musician. However, they hire you to audition someone. And I'm thinking of this one instance where the singer was the band. The singer owned the band, hired musicians. I was a hired bass player. Audition comes in, goes fairly well. Kind of, you're like, could see it working, could maybe not, maybe something better. And the guy, in this case a guy, just like got up, said, okay, let me know, and walks out. And I remember the singer going, wow, he didn't even thank us for giving him a shot. And at first I was like, well, should he? And then later I was like, well, yeah, he probably should. It's just a courtesy. Then I've seen the effect it's had when, I'm thinking now of it, when I was in a band at Musicians Institute, a bunch of instructors, and we were auditioning singers. The singer we actually went with, it was so great. He came in, he was confident, relaxed, knew his parts, put his own style on, but also kind of caught our vibe. At the very end, he's like, man, I know how, you guys are so busy and you've auditioned a lot of singers. I'm just thankful you gave me a shot. And I have to tell you, man, we looked at each other after he left, and we're like, that's a guy we want to hang with. He shows respect. He seems appreciative. So that's the last thing. We talk about not being late as the first impression. The last impression being just saying thank you. Couple key notes I see here. I'm glad I looked. Don't hang around past your audition. In fact, make them ask you to stay longer. So, like, let's say you finish up your audition, you're slotted to 30 minutes. They tell you, hey, keep 30 minutes. And you notice it's getting closer to 30 minutes, but you guys are still chatting. At the end, you just say real quickly, hey, the time you guys gave me is almost up. Do you want me to make to bolt so you can get the next guy in here? That just shows that you respecting of their time. So it's just like the thank you. It's a courtesy, but it also gives them a time to say, no, we want to chat a little bit more. Can you hang? And the answer is always yes. Have them make that call, because the worst part is when we audition somebody and then we do all those, okay, well, great, we got another guy coming in. Yeah, and the guys, oh yeah, okay, and then they start telling them more about themselves, and you're like, telling you about themselves more, and you're like, oh, dude, you're putting us behind schedule, You're leaving them with a negative impression. So, don't overstay your welcome. No negative self-speak. I've seen so many guys and gals. We're auditioning, a member of the band. It goes well. We're pretty stoked. And at the end, all the person does is talk. Oh man, sorry guys, I sucked hard. I can't believe it. And then and we had one guy get mad. And when he left, we're like, okay, we're not hiring that guy, because if he gets mad at himself during an audition, he's going to be a nightmare when we're playing a club and the lights are screwing up or the PA system bad. We don't need that negativity. So no negative self-speak, and of course, thank everyone before you leave. So again, if you're a Patreon subscriber, I'm trying to throw as much content. There's over 130 posts on my Patreon account, and most of them have written materials you can download and print out. Some have play-along files, but anyway, I'm trying to make it worthwhile. So for $8 a month, you can download all my stuff. You're welcome to. I'd love to make it available to you, and of course, that money goes right back into financing the channel. So you're kind of helping me invest in this channel. But I really think you can nail every audition you go to. I want to repeat: you might not get every audition, but you can nail it, and nothing feels better than leave an audition knowing that you did the best you possibly could. You represented yourself the best you could. You got some kind of bond and connection with the musicians. Chances are you'll get the audition, but if you don't, you can go, well, I did the best I could. And that's the best feeling. All right, guys, this is a longer video. I apologize, but I think the material is important. What do you think? Did I leave anything off? Please, please, please. I would love to be able to do a second video with 10 more things that I didn't think of, because of your experiences are different than mine. So in the comments below, please share some ideas. I'll collate them and we can do a video. I'll give you credit for whatever you give. I would love to do a follow-up to this. All right, guys, best in luck in your future auditions. Let me know how they go. If you got a big audition coming up, just email me. If you want to bounce some ideas, get me, have me go through the checklist with you, I am totally into that. Email me at dtitus@daletitus.com. I'm here for you guys. I'm so thankful that you're trusting me with your time, and that we can kind of correspond each other this way. I love it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you at the next video.